Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Brunch Hour with Acupuncture is My Life. Now today I'd like to talk about the effects of the pandemic on human behavior. You see, a lot of us globally are going through so much as a result of this pandemic psychologically. And the psychological effects of this pandemic has been astounding. There's been changes in behavioral characteristics. I mean, mentally, what we're starting to grow accustomed to is very interesting, and but it's having such a negative impact on us. You know, I've spoken to some of my younger relatives recently who range in between the ages of 6 and 14. And in inquiring about wearing a mask, to them, that has become a way of life. Just whenever they would go to their front door, automatically, we have to put our mask on. This acquired phobia of walking outdoors with your face fully exposed. Very interesting. You know, what can come from this in the future? How does that affect even children who require proper exercise for proper growth, to maximize their growth potential, and to attempt to wear a mask covering your nose and your mouth while going through strenuous activity, levels of hypoxia, sustained. It's interesting. This is something to really think about. You know. But let's take, for instance, let's say in 2020. What are some of the things we endured that affected human behavior? Take a second to think about it. You know, because I'm sure you guys can come up with a litany of things that have been affected what we've endured globally, you know, and just even looking at, let's just take Japan for instance. You know, suicide rates in Japan, mind-boggling. You know, it's just the increase in suicides as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic in Japan alone has been astronomical. You know, because even during the first 5 months of the pandemic, they had monthly suicide rates that exceeded 14%. And during the second wave, which let's say in 2020 was in Japan, was around between July and October or early November, their monthly suicide rates increased by 16%. And the largest increase was among females at a rate of 37% and children at a rate of 49%. Wow. Take a second to just think about that. And that's just Japan. You know, we've we've acquired certain truths about the experiences of this pandemic from a mental perspective that we need to focus on, we need to address. Just take, for example, like our cost of confidence. You see, the erosion of confidence makes having the ability to trust super important. Think about individually how we've lost confidence in a lot of things that we were accustomed to doing on a regular. Think about that. Also, take a moment to think about how the shift into a virtual society has impacted us. Think about the ways in which we communicate relative to learning, working, consuming, transacting. This shift, how has it affected us? How much of a setback? To some it's been a positive. But a setback to a lot of us. We're social creatures, as I've stated in past episodes. And as children, as adults, children in grade school, adults in college, and so forth and so on, we attain more through contact. Working, we work better in groups. Transacting and consuming. We make better choices, better decisions in person. Take a second just to think about those areas, confidence and the transition into a virtual society, how it is changing us. This is still a process. It's not set in stone yet. We're still in the infantile stages of this transition. How effective will it be? How will we adjust? Think about it. Just like sort of feeling of hibernation, stagnation relative to quarantining. What comes with that? Just like even I'm going to tie in transitioning to a virtual society, working remote. How has that impacted us? How has it affected our sleep, mobility, social lifestyle? Spending more time at home, in my opinion, has more negatives than positives. You get the really good part is spending time with your family, your children, which we really need to do and should have been doing. In a fast-paced society, open global society, constantly traveling, on the move, things like that. Kids suffered. Children paid the price for that. And it was pretty obvious in their character, decision-making processes, including the decision to commit suicide. the decision to not be obedient to guidance, the decision to not confide or look to confide in our parents, our teachers. The negative impact. Whereas being at home more, statistics are showing children are enjoying, to a greater extent, the presence of their parents being around so much. But now, from an individual perspective, what's the downside to that? Working remote, sitting in front of a laptop, desktop, tablet. As adults is bad. The human body is designed to be active, moving. Think about when you're in the office. Although you were in front of your desktop, how many times did you get up to run to a meeting or to socialize at a colleague's office or cubicle, or go to the bathroom, take a break to go outside and get coffee or grab a bite? Just that movement. Even going to work, mass transit, and some even, you drive to work, but the point of going to your car, going from your car to the office, it's still a form of activity, being active. Those things are important. Because today, working remote, a lot of people just roll right out of the bed in their pajamas, turn the laptop on real quick, maybe grab or make a cup of coffee and drink it. And they're sitting there until they're ready to take a quick bathroom break, which is downstairs or down the hall or upstairs, depending on where you're working from in the house. And what are we missing out on? Fresh air and vitamin D, which is very, very important for our health. Think about your children too. When your children are in school, they're active. They're going from classroom to classroom, to the gym, to run and jump, go outside, get some vitamin D, fresh air, back inside, go to the cafeteria, back to classes, to the school bus, to home. Children need that. But they're doing the same thing. Class starts at, let's say, 8 a.m., 7:50, they're rolling over and, all right, parents yelling at them. Are you logged in? They turn the laptop on. They sit there, they'll fall asleep. They may play video games while they're in class. Not much movement. The negative impact on a child under those circumstances are lifelong. And as parents, we have to be proactive. Maybe wake the kid up an extra hour. Go for a long walk, irregardless of what the temperature is outside. Go jogging with our children. Go bike riding with our children. But get them out. Consciously set a family lunch hour where you take a break from work. Get back outside, come back in. Get outside for like 30 minutes again. Come back in. Eat lunch. Doesn't matter if it's snowing, raining, hot, cold. The seasons, as a result of nature, are there for a reason. It's there for our benefit. But make time, even at the end of the day, right before sundown. Maybe take another half hour, 45 minutes. Take your kids outside and do something with them 5 days a week. Weekends, you're doing your chores, kids will get out, so forth and so on. But this pandemic has really served a grave injustice on us. And I'm not blaming the pandemic. But I just want us to be conscious of what we have to remedy in the future, what we can make attempts to remedy now. And on Fridays, as I discuss, the psychological impacts of the pandemic, I'll tell you, like today, I'll talk about foods that we can eat, because Chef Kiara passed some information over to me to talk about how the heart meridian is impacted. And we'll go through all meridians each week. But today, in closing, what foods are good for the heart meridian as a result of the heart having been impacted by this pandemic. Let's also look at the reinvention of authority and how that's affected us, in 2020. Where so many people have become so dependent on, let's just say, the government, decisions of the government, because of heightened uncertainty in our lives, and the vast majority of us have never experienced this much uncertainty in our lives. I mean, can I work? Will I find a job? How much can I eat now based on my budget? Lack of finances, lack of resources. Food is limited. I don't know if I'd be able to eat next week or feed my family next week. Shelter. One not being able to pay their mortgage or their rent. And they're many, many months behind. Still haven't found gainful employment. How is it affecting them? How is it impacting them from a mental standpoint? There's so much in the way of uncertainty out there that a lot of us have just given up and just put our fate in the hands of the government and corporations or companies in society. Will they give me this job? The ability to be proactive, assert yourself, to say, I'm going to figure this out. Many have become so exhausted with attempting to do that. What are the long-term ramifications? How will we be able to bounce back from that? Because it does have an offshoot effect in innovation. So being a self-sustaining individual in a myriad of ways. How does it affect innovation? How does it affect evolution, change? And now, going forward, we have to look at mental health issues that we'll face in 2021 as a global society. The mental darkness of this crisis will be very, very much a challenge to us globally. Physically, some have come up with anecdotal ways to deal with the virus, along with the vaccines that are out. There are more answers in dealing with this situation physically than there are mentally. And we're faced with a long, potentially dark road ahead of us from a mental standpoint. A lot of mental health issues that health professionals are faced with for 2021. And speaking to colleagues, as well as myself, more and more patients are coming in to be treated for anxiety issues, depression, and so forth, insomnia. You know, what are some of the things we have to look forward to dealing with in 2021? Burnout, and just this newly acquired sedentary lifestyle. You know, we've faced or been facing isolation for quite some time now. We're approaching a year. And with isolation comes loneliness. And this is not like just focused toward adults. I mean, children are affected by this as well. I mean, think about it. When they're used to going to school and just being around thousands of other students, the many people they encounter in their travels to and from school. Now, with this isolation, opportunity has been lost, and with regard to social development. Will they ever get another chance at this opportunity? How do we fill that void as a society? Because these children become our leaders one day. Think about that for a second. But the sedentary aspect, we have to, as I just stated, we have to get out. We have to be around trees. We have to get vitamin D. We have to do all of these things and more to improve our overall health. We have to also focus on disconnecting from certain sources that are exacerbating the problems that we're facing mentally today, like the news. You know, waking up, watching news every day. Oh, what's going on with the vaccines? What's going on with travel? What's going on with restrictions? How can we move and do this? What's going on with the economy? In 2021, we have to look to better take care of ourselves and others around us. You know, I know a lot of people would say, listening to this, screw everyone else. You know, I'm going to look out for me. I'm going to take care of me. Nope. Because these are also people that you have to deal with in some cases on a daily basis, monthly basis, or some point in your life. You know, helping others helps you as well. Another point of focus for 2021 is focusing on enhancing or reestablishing a sleep pattern that's beneficial. Sleep is super important for us. You know, as a result of being isolated, being homebound so much, our circadian rhythm has been thrown to the left and then back to the right, and so forth and so on. You know, and in dealing with stress and trauma, along with many other factors, have led to sleep disturbance. This is a global thing. This isn't just in the United States or Japan or China or Australia or India or Europe. It's global. Even essential workers, workers in hospitals, paramedics. Many of them, in speaking with my colleagues, have never seen so much death at any one point in their career. And it has taken its toll. I have very close friends who are psychotherapists, and you'd be surprised at some of the things we took for granted. But just going back to like working remote, this lack of separation between work and being home. Think about how those that are working remote, how it has affected your sleep. Those that aren't working remote, how it can affect a person's sleep pattern. The urgency in being punctual, getting to work on time, gauging travel time. As opposed to, like I said earlier, just rolling over, cutting on the laptop, and boom. Just a behavior pattern such as that, how it slams the circadian rhythm up against the wall, like boom. It just throws your sleep out of whack. You find yourself waking up in the middle of the night or having a hard time falling asleep. I've had patients come in and complain about that. Doc, I can't get to sleep until like 1 a.m. 3 a.m. Or I'm waking up at midnight. But you know what I noticed? Like, whether it's patients that I see via telehealth. Oh, and if you want free access to telehealth, you have to go to the Google Play Store to download the app to get that. Just wanted to throw that out there because, some have inquired about that. But patients that I see via telehealth or at my clinic, most tend to find themselves waking up between the hours of 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. In Chinese medicine, those are the hours of the liver. Liver stress affects the liver. Between 1 and 3 a.m. 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. And I'll get into that in future episodes. But we have to understand how much the quality of our sleep is tied to mental health. As well as just getting outdoors. Because sunlight plays a part on your circadian rhythm. It affects sleep. And this is why I said earlier, set a program. If you're single and you're alone, for yourself, your family, do it as a family. This is great. Do it as a family. Because getting enough sunlight allows or plays a part in the time in which you fall asleep, as well as waking up. Now, let's go back to isolation for a minute, because isolation, a lot of mental disorders thrive. when a person is isolated for long periods of time. Disorders such as like eating disorders, substance abuse disorders. You see, collectively, this contributes to increased anxiety and depression as well. There's so many health factors that are associated with even just those two disorders, substance abuse, which includes drinking alcohol. And in an earlier episode, I spoke about alcoholism and how this pandemic is leading more and more people to drink. Drug abuse, even smoking. You see, substance abuse it's gone through the roof during this pandemic. And it's still climbing. Another thing that exists is not everyone is experiencing the psychological effects of this pandemic on an equal playing field. There's a lot to that. When you look at economics, when you look at family network, there are many people out there who don't have either a good relationship with their family members, or have family. People that they can so-called trust and talk to. A lot of people don't even have friends, a good amount of friends. And then the few that they do have are going through their own problems, and having the ability to be there for each other is a problem as well. Economics. The vast majority of people around the world don't know what next week or even tomorrow holds for them economically. There's a huge disparity when it comes to economics relative to this pandemic. Employment. Some are working and some are not. Many people have lost health insurance, even those that are still employed. But the cost of insurance has gone up so much that they've just dropped it. And there's so many, well over 100 million people just in the United States alone. I don't know the global number, but just in the United States alone have pre-existing conditions that require them to have some type of health insurance. And without it, wow. So, just think about the playing field. Is it equal? No. But there's so much to think about. But just even how the stresses that we endure, what's one of the main organs or meridians that's affected from a Chinese medicine perspective. the heart meridian. And it was interesting in a conversation with Chef Kiara yesterday, and she spoke about the types of foods that you can eat that can assist, that's nourishing for the heart. And the flavor to focus on is bitter. You see, bitter taste is a taste that's responsible for nourishing the heart. But just like too much of anything is bad for you, excess bitterness can oppress the heart as well. But what's nourishing, like what she had said to me, let's take for instance like a bitter salad, bitter drinks such as dandelion root can stimulate the heart. She'd also indicated that bitter taste can also be found in bran and grains. How drinking bitter elixirs before a meal can enhance digestion of that meal and effectively extract nourishment from the food to send up to the heart. So think about drinking bitter elixirs before you sit down to eat a quality meal, not pizza and fast food, a quality meal. She spoke on how the heart responds to subtle essences of food, flower essences within foods, how it affects the heart. How a few petals sprinkled in a salad or folded into a rice can create vibrant meals. And she said also, like, if you infuse flowers and oils and use it as salad dressing, it's great as well. But foods containing red pigment, such as like tomatoes, cherries, red peppers, nourish the heart. Beetroot. She'd also informed me as to how just even baked tomatoes can strengthen the heart muscle. Just like a glass of red wine can. Now, when I spoke about the COVID-19 stew, and I briefly touched on how she even added paprika to it. See, paprika and black pepper in moderate use can serve as a stimulant for the heart. So it's interesting. It's very interesting. But, all that I've spoken about today, I would love for all of you guys to take a second to think about. And then give yourself some homework to think about. Or think of ways in which you can offset these issues. Because it all starts one at a time, individually, before it becomes a collective thing. And allow that to be an exercise for yourself. Allow it to serve as an exercise for yourself. Remember, guys, tomorrow's tea time, early. And it's always a surprise as to what we'll talk about tomorrow. But next week, Sunday's YouTube episode, stumbling a little bit there. You know, you can find Acupuncture is My Life on YouTube, as well as follow us on social media, every platform under Acupuncture is My Life, except Twitter. We're under Acu_is_my_life. To learn more about acupuncture and how you can benefit from it. But this Sunday, we're going to get really deep into the pandemic and your psyche. It's going to be pretty interesting. And I'll go deep into the effects it's had on the heart and the mind, and the relations between the heart and the mind as well. So you got to tune in for that. That episode is going to be like awesome. But join me. Don't forget to join me tomorrow for tea time. And Acupuncture is My Life. Surprise discussion. But until tomorrow, I just want to say, acupuncture is my life. What's yours?